I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside, it's so comfortable, and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off road. The guy managed the group. He was like, "What are you doing in this beautiful car?" I'm like, "I'm going off road." He's like, "Are you sure? Because you can use one of ours." And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, "No, no, 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 we're going to do this." And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability as well as its robust interior are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender.
These days, we're all investors, trying to be smart with our money despite our worst impulses. But at iShares, we believe that deep down inside of every investor is a better investor. One that's just waiting to be let out. Explore iShares ETFs and insights and let your best investor out. Visit iShares.com for more information.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show.
Welcome to another episode of Idea List of the Day. And of course, these idea lists are taken from notepad.com, NOTEPD.com. Get it? It's notepad, but no A. Of course, the idea of notepad.com, among other things, is to get used to writing the 10 ideas a day, which, at least for me personally, has not only at different points lifted me out of depression, but helped me create financial success and improve my creativity and all sorts of good things. And whenever I've stopped doing the 10 ideas a day, things fall apart. So a lot of people now have started making their idea lists, and there are some good streaks up there, but there's one list made by I don't know who this person is, Robyn Samuels Altucher.
Who could that be?
And she's here on the podcast with us. Hi, Robyn.
Hello.
Hi, Robyn.
And it's the top 10 attributes that make you a good friend. Now, some of these lists are things like this, like there are lists of items, like attributes, but always it's kind of hard to come up with 10. That's how you exercise the idea muscle. And so, Robyn, what made you want to make this list?
Because I want to make new friends in a new location where we live.
And you have another list, by the way, and we'll challenge people at the end of this podcast with a specific challenge. But how do you know when you meet somebody, for instance, that they're an honest person?
Well, that takes time. You just have to spend time with that person and be around them. And you can pretty much tell, a lot about somebody. What's that saying? Listen to
or watch what they do. Don't listen to what they say.
Yes, but there's also, if someone tells you who they are, listen. I like that one too. So it takes time to build friendships and trust. And that was another list because trust is the number one thing on building a good relationship.
So let me tell you an example though, for all you guys. And so Jay's on this podcast, Paolo's on this podcast. This happened to me just very recently. I had, and Jay knows about this, I had a friend that I considered a good friend. He would tell me all these detailed stories. There was one story he was telling me that was so moving to him that he started crying while telling me the story. And, we would, being vulnerable is often a way people bond together with each other. And we started meeting every week, exchanging business ideas and just giving each other advice. Like we became friends over time. And then I just read an article, and I don't know if the article is true or not,
Oh,
but they quote a lot of different people. This guy's a fairly well-known person. Apparently, at least this article is accusing him of being a total con man. And like many of the things he told me were complete lies that he just completely made up out of his imagination. And
right.
I've known him now for, I don't know, I guess 5 years. And until I read that article, I would never have guessed anything he told me was a lie.
Yeah, and also, what can you
Mm.
do? Because you can confront him and ask if anything is right or wrong. Like,
No, I'll
what do
never
you
talk to him
do?
again, probably.
Yeah,
Even though there are some parts of the article where, okay, it's one person's opinion versus the other, it seems to be that he's even admitted that a
right,
lot of the things he told me were not true.
But also,
right.
I think the sheer fact that you're not going to confront him or talk about it to him just means that you are not good enough friends, right? It was just some acquaintance that you got some benefit
True.
from talking, but you're not. It's not strong enough that you want to question and ask about it, right? If I have
Right.
some very close friends, if I found out like tomorrow in an article that there's some sort of comments, I would like immediately call them up and say, "Oh, what's going on? Is it true that you did this? Did you do
Right.
that? Why aren't you telling me?" Right? It's because I care about the relationship, and I would also feel they would tell me the truth. Right? That's
Yeah.
the whole point of having close friends.
And trust.
Paulo, has that happened to you before? Not in the article, but
It's
it's more like someone from
it's
someone else.
that has not happened to me. However, I have known people that were basically pathological liars, right? And I could not trust anything that they would say. Like if this guy
Ah,
told me, "Oh, today for lunch I had a slice of pizza," I wouldn't believe it.
Mm.
Like
oh
And how did
wow.
you
to that
find that
extent.
out?
Well, because I found out on many, many occasions that he was lying about something, and that
Mhm.
not only
Like, what would
that,
be an example? What would be an example lie?
well, he pretended to have gone to some sort of piano school or to
Mm.
learn music for years on end, but he never wanted to play in front of me, right?
Ah.
But he was so adamant about it. He would not back down. He would not say, "Oh yeah, no, I played for 1 year or nothing." He would say he was such an expert, but he would never play, right?
That's
And many,
interesting.
many of these
Yeah.
small things. But what's also interesting is that he was extremely like, such a personable person. You'd meet him, you think he's the best person in the world, which to me has
Oh,
become a major red flag. If a person
Huh.
seems
right,
too nice to be true, there's something wrong. Someone is
right.
too nice, saying, pretending to care so much about you and everything. People are normal, right? Everyone has a
Right.
Yeah.
degree of,
Like that. Yeah,
selfishness
weakness.
and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but that's just normal. So if someone is too good to be true, to me, it's a huge red flag.
I don't know why that sort of remind me of Ted Bundy.
What do you mean?
Like maybe because like he's too nice. Like it's like a perfect person. Isn't Ted Bundy sort of appear as a perfect person before he got caught, right?
Oh
No, I
yeah,
think he
yeah.
had issues though. Or like he was a perfectionist or something, or I don't know. I don't.
I don't really know anything
He had
about
some
him.
neuroses, I thought,
Oh.
that were sort of weird. But I don't know.
Oh.
I've never studied him, so I don't know.
But like, it does seem like, I mean, obviously this is an extreme case where someone you're friends with is a comment. And Paulo, you're probably right. Like maybe it's not like we were best friends, although at different times we were closer than at other times. Like there were times when I would probably talk to him. There was a few month period where I was talking to him like every other day or so. But it just shocked me.
I've met people, and I'm kind of one of them that I'm nice. I'm really nice when you meet me and personable. I give everyone a benefit of the doubt. I treat them like I would my family, but I do not. I have my boundaries, and I don't share personal information until it takes me a while to do that. And I think that, like you said, when somebody, tries to share their heartfelt feelings, or they're sad and they seem to open up to you. To me, it's them saying, oh, well, you share with me now. And I've always told my kids, don't do that, don't fall for that, don't
Yeah, I
go
mean,
there.
that's a very standard manipulation technique, right? I think it's from
Definitely.
influence and stuff like that. You want
Yeah, I'll
someone
tell
to
you
open up to
something,
you,
yeah, you
open
tell
up to
me.
them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I think Robert Cialdini even talks about this in his book Influence. It's reciprocity. So if like you're vulnerable to someone, they're gonna feel closer to you, being vulnerable
Yeah.
with you, and then once that happens, you could then do the ask if you're trying to like influence from a
Or they
marketing
own
perspective.
they own you some
Yeah.
way.
Well, so this is related to another one on your list, Robyn, about attributes of a good friend, which is they don't gossip. And I'm curious about this one because there's positive and negative aspects to gossip. So like we've had a friend in the past who all the time he'd gossip about people we knew, and we would see him with that person, and he'd be all like best friends with that person. So it made you think, oh, he's probably gossiping about us too, which turned out to be true. But there's a positive side to gossip too, which is, and Yuval Harari mentions this in his book *Sapiens*, is that one thing that made humans, be able to congregate in bigger, an original tribe for humans was like 30 people, but then suddenly around 40,000 BC, humans were working with up to 150 people in a tribe, and it was because of literally the invention of gossip in the brain, and the idea that if I haven't worked with Paolo as an example, but Jay has, I could say to Jay, hey, is Paolo pretty good to hunt with? Or if there's a wild boar running at us, he's going to leave me behind. There's a pro-social advantage to gossip, which is that it's an efficient way to learn about people and cooperate with a larger group of people.
I feel like gossip has to have like a different terms for like just asking if the person is nice or not. Like I felt like gossip is more like just negative. It's just like, oh, this person is a bad person, this is what they did, blah 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 blah. But if you just talk to someone like, hey, yeah, I work with Paolo, I love Paolo, and this is what Paolo have done. I don't know if you consider that as gossip.
But that would be the same thing our other friend would do. Well, I'm sorry, Robyn, you go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, what I'm saying as gossip is a casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, true or untrue. So this is just idle talk. This is just, it's that's what I mean. Or it could be destructive. It's like, to me, I feel like I don't really want to talk about somebody else.
Right.
When I'm in a conversation with another person, there's no reason, unless, it, like you say, it is something positive, and that, oh, it's a good friend, you should meet them.
Right.
It's not like you're trying to, deplatform the
reputation,
person, or, yeah.
But what if you're talking to a friend and they say, I'm going to name your friend, Katie. Okay, I'm making the name up. What if you're talking to Katie and you're saying, hey, I'm about to go meet Brenda. And Katie then says, oh, I'd be careful. Brenda has owed me money and she hasn't paid back in a year.
That is a very personal information that I should not have heard.
But wouldn't you want to know, or what if you said
No,
to
I
Katie,
would not.
I'm thinking of
No.
lending money to Brenda?
No. It's something, honestly, that's just my personal opinion, is I would never tell anybody something like that, because that is between me and that other person.
What if it's James? Would you tell James?
Yeah, because you know how friends often do this, is that they
Right.
say, hey, it's a closed circle between us. We could tell each other anything.
Well, I would say that in a partnership, a marriage or partnership, I think that, you do have to have a certain amount of trust with a person to be in that relationship.
Right.
And you don't have that sort of trust with most people. You know what I mean? So, there are degrees of it, but I think with your significant other, obviously you do have a tremendous amount of trust. So you can't, it's like being with a therapist, really, or someone that you talk to, that that it's just between the two of you.
So what? So when is there any examples where? I mean, I would think negative gossip might be important to help you avoid a bad situation.
I mean, I felt like that's two type of negative gossips, right? Like it could be one negative gossip is like negative gossip, you just talk bad about the person. But if you're warning about the person, so let's say if like I'm about to work with someone named Kevin, and then Robin knows Kevin's like not trustable or like not do good work, like will you like still warn me about Kevin, Robin? I'm just curious, what would you
I
do?
would not say anything, to be honest, because it's
Oh,
none of my business. And
But what if you really want to
but
protect Jay?
no, here's the thing. Jay is not my son, okay? And
right.
I have, it's not my place to
Hmm.
be, that person to say,
Right.
be careful. Um, Now, Jay could actually watch me and see, am I close
Mm,
to that person anymore? Have I been talking to that person?
right.
I distance myself from people that I feel I don't want to be around.
And what if Jay was to ask you for personal advice? I
Right.
need to interact with this person. I know if you've interacted with them before, but I don't know the depth of the relationship now.
I
Do
would
you have
say
any heads up for me?
I would say to do your research. Talk to some of their friends, maybe some of their associates.
If
I
if he was a good person, would you say he's a good person, or would you refrain from saying that as well?
I would say he was a good person.
Okay.
Okay. Now I know if I ever have to ask you, I know how to take your
I can't.
answers.
I
Then.
have a real big problem with lying, and
Right.
so if I'm not going to say something negative,
Right.
but I will tell
So
the truth.
so Robin wouldn't defame or wouldn't say that person is a bad person, but
Right.
Robin will like, hey, yeah, do your research. So it's more like broad
Yeah.
and generic in a sense.
Right.
I'm so sad that I'm not your son, Robin.
Yeah, you're honorary son, Jay. Don't worry.
I'm just joking.
But
Different skin color.
it seems like again, like the human race, the human species built itself because of the positive benefits of gossip. So I'm just and I see what you're saying, because I don't want to be friends with someone and they gossip so much I can clearly see somehow that they're going to gossip about me
Right.
when they have the opportunity. Like that seems very negative.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
really worried about, is
yeah,
that they're going to gossip about me. But
I
there
think
must be
Robin
some pro benefits to someone who's going to like give you a heads up, like, oh, don't hang out with that person. That's bad.
And another thing that bothers me is just because I like being private. I'm a private person,
Mhm.
and even though someone is going to say something about me, it may be positive, but I don't want people sharing my experiences with somebody else.
Right.
Like if I'm with that person and they're like, "Oh yeah, we did this," and I don't know. I feel like it's intrusion for me. I don't
Right.
really want to do that to that person because maybe they want to stay private. Maybe they don't want people to know things that they do on the weekends or things like that. I don't know. Does that
Right.
make sense? Am I a little too weird?
Yeah, well, I mean,
I
no,
just
I
feel-
mean, I would feel the same way too. Like a lot of time when people ask me about something else that other people are talking about, like I wouldn't. A lot of time I try not to relay what they say. I'm like, yeah, just talk to him. He would know better. Because a lot of time, if you try to retell the story, you might retell it wrong
Now,
or stuff like that.
if there is any malice, if there is someone that's going to be hurt, if there is illegal activity and you work for somebody, I definitely think that you should report that. That's
Right.
something that you need to talk about to the authorities or to your boss.
Right. I mean, reporting and gossip is different.
Right.
I think we have to think about that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess also if information is known by everybody, it's okay to basically help interpret that information. So
Yeah.
like if we're talking about someone who's been like a banker, or I don't know, a stockbroker or whatever, and you ask someone, is this guy good? And like, well, he gave so and so bad. Oh no, he can't. That's not good gossip either.
Yeah. Well, I guess all that it just that's why I think we should have a personal
Just have to stay out
rating
of people's
system.
business. I mean,
Yeah.
unless they're doing something illegal. And then you distance from these people. I tell you, it really makes sense. You see that you look at the people they hang out with. You really look at people's friends. You look at that really tells you a lot about somebody. And if there's something that they are doing, like let's say someone lies to you, well, the way they do some things is the way they do everything. You've got a character flaw there. And that vein runs through their whole personality. Unfortunately, that's
Yeah.
what happens.
It's like you are the 5 closest person that you're with.
Yeah, you're the
something like
average.
that.
You're the average of the 5 people you spend your time with, and I would argue that it extends more than that. You're the average of the 5 types of content you read. So if every day you read gossip magazines, you're probably a gossip.
Yeah.
Or as opposed to if every day you read like philosophical texts, maybe
That's true.
that shows you're the type of person who's trying to improve
Trash
yourself.
in, trash out.
That's
And,
why
uh,
social
you-
media is so toxic.
Yeah, exactly. And you're the average of let's say the 5 types of food you eat. So like if all you eat is junk food, probably you're not
You're a
as
piece of
healthy as you
junk.
could be. And
Yeah.
probably
You're-
probably
You're a piece
probably
of Cheeto.
probably your body is junk. And
That's why I have fruit salad this morning.
yeah.
This is
So-
why it was so hard for me with my kids. It's like I always knew their friends, and I always was very careful about the people they were with because they are very influenced by, when you're young, you're very influenced.
I would say also all of these things obviously you have to be careful about, like honesty, gossip, all of these things. Being a good listener is one of your attributes that you list. This is really important. Although again, you have to make sure that they're really listening with empathy and that they're not just listening to get information. But
Right. I think this is really hard because I thought I'm a good listener, but every time when someone tell me about anything, any of the problem, I'll be like, yeah, I want to give you some solutions, but I don't know if I should.
I
You
know,
are
I'm a
crying
fixer
there.
too.
Yeah, you're like crying there. I'm like,
Yeah.
can I hug you? It's 2022.
Yeah.
I have to ask for consent and all that stuff. So
Yeah. It's hard because you want to help. But
Yeah.
I think a lot I've learned over the years that just really, I'm still learning just to being a good listener and just listening to what they have to say. And
Yeah, it's hard
just
because-
being there for them.
and here I am interrupting while talking about listening, but that's my style because I have noticed in podcasting that listening is okay. There's the words they say, and then you have to listen for the words they don't say, and that's almost as valuable.
Well, that's a problem too. And that's going to be another list that I'm going to make are the people that are not there, they acquiesce or they are, what's the word for them? They're like, I can't think of it. They're not honest with how they feel.
oh,
So give an
They're,
example. Like, what's the story?
But no, there's a word for it. They're passive. So it's fake. They're fake. That's on my list too, is being honest. Because if you're not really honest with yourself and who you are, how are you going to get to know that person, right? Because
Yeah,
if you don't know
Right.
because they're not getting to know you. They're getting to know your facade.
Right, and like you could ask them about the things that they're not saying. Then you could
Yeah,
see how they tell you.
I don't hang out with those people either. The
So-
older I get, the less people I'm around.
all right. This is what Robyn wants.
My
Robyn
list,
just doesn't.
my
Yeah,
friend
Robyn,
list gets smaller and smaller.
Robyn just doesn't want to deal with bullshit.
No, it's
I
true. Like
don't.
and
I don't.
maybe because of Robyn's influence on me, my friend list gets smaller and smaller. Robyn's keeping me from having any friends, so she just locks me
That's
in a
not
room.
true.
And but
Well-
like I've had a friend, for instance, who was always overly nice, and then but she always had problems because she would say, "Oh, I was so nice to them. Why are they mean to me?" Like, well, maybe you shouldn't be so nice all the time. And like sometimes people are overly nice because they think that will help them, but it's not honest. It's not an honest niceness. So that's
Right.
another
And people
kind of
can
passive
feel that
aggressiveness.
too. People are smart, even though other people don't think they are. I mean, you really can get a sense of a person, I think, if you just listen, if you just observe more, talk less, right? I think you can.
So yeah, all right. Well, this was and is a very interesting idea list. If you want to find it and see we only talked about 3 of the things she wrote on the top 10 attributes that make you a good friend. If you want to see the rest, or add to the list, or comment on the list, or make your own list, you can find her list under her profile, Robyn Altucher, at notepad, notepd.com. But here's a challenge for all the listeners, because this addresses the problem that Robyn initially had. She recently moved to a new area, as have I, and because we live together. And we challenge you, make a list of the top 10 ways you would make a friend in a new area. We'll check it out and maybe feature even the best of those lists on this podcast. So this is the idea list of the day. And tomorrow we have a really good one coming. I hope you enjoyed this. And thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love these clothes. Mizzen and Main. That's Mizzen and Main. It really is the most comfortable work clothes. Travel clothes. I had to travel this whole week. I'm traveling for a week and a half, and I just took Mizzen and Main clothes with me. Close out 2023 in style with comfortable, breathable, packable, and machine washable pieces from Mizzen and Main. As you wrap up your year-end goals, enjoy a Mizzen and Main dress shirt that you can wear confidently. I like that they've very, very just nice, solid colors. I don't really like to get all fancy in patterns and everything, although they do have some pattern shirts, but very comfortable clothes, stretchable pants. It's just super comfortable, but they look professional, and you can wear them casually or professionally. I like some of their flannel shirts or untuck shirts. I love untuck. I never tuck in. So again, whether you're shopping for a special someone or giving yourself the gift you really want, I just buy myself gifts. Mizzen and Main is the perfect gift for any guy who works, travels, and or cares about looking and feeling great. As you could tell by my many photos across the internet, I care about looking fantastic. I'm practically a model. And let's be honest, every guy loves to look great. So again, shop now at mizzenandmain.com and save 20% when you spend $130 or more using promo code James. That's promo code James at Mizzen and Main, Mizzen and Main.com. You know what I love about fantasy sports is that even though I'm not going to be a great basketball player or a baseball player or a football player or whatever, I feel like I get to participate and make decisions and use my knowledge of these different leagues or these different sports to compete. So it's like I can pick my team or I can pick my favorite players, and I could use my knowledge to make predictions and maybe even make money. So with the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League on Prize Picks. This is a league created specifically for combo projections that include two or more players from different sports or leagues. Want to play alongside some of Prize Picks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz, who's also been a guest on this podcast, and I've been a guest on his? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries for some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Look, Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. What? So I love playing it. I love anywhere where I can use analytical ability with my interests to demonstrate some skill and maybe make some money. And I like the game-like aspect. I do wish they had chess as a category on prizepicks.com, but I'll settle for what they've got. Maybe I should make my own fantasy chess league. But in any case, I love Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/James. Use code James for a first deposit match up to $100. That's the easiest $100 you're ever going to make. So that's prizepicks.com/James and use code James. Daily fantasy sports made easy.